Tanshe Kioao, Valerie McLeod, Dashinakashin. I'm running for Eastern Region 3 Regional Representative, and this is the third video in my six-part series talking about my campaign platform where I've stolen the acronym CIRNAC from Crown Indigenous Relations in Northern Affairs Canada, and I'm reappropriating it because I would like to see a lot more self-determination and less influence and control from that side of things, from their department, which unfortunately I think has been happening, but a big one, a big piece of this is the R in CIRNAC. And in my version of CIRNAC, the R stands for rights and claims. And I'll try and do this one a little more quickly, just because let's get straight to the point here. In Eastern Region 3, there are many locations that, according to Canada's own law, qualify as places that are where our inherent rights, our historic inherent Aboriginal rights under Canadian law, um, are still there, are unextinguished, as they say. And there's never been a treaty or any kind of document that has ever settled those or addressed them. They'll use that language too, or put them under any kind of understanding or document between us and the Crown. So in 2016, the Daniels decision at the Supreme Court of Canada said that Metis, that we are Indians under the Canadian Constitution, under Section 9124, that relates to Indians and the lands reserved for Indians. And that harkens back to the Royal Proclamation 1768. That's where that comes from, which was made by the Crown, right? The British Crown. So what this means is that as Métis people, we have a direct relationship recognized now with the Crown. And, the federal government, where they used to tell us, like, oh no, you're not our responsibility. You'll have to go to the province if you want to try and negotiate any kind of supports or funding or rights, anything. It's not our, well, since 2016, it's decided once and for all, we do have a relationship with the Crown. We are recognized as Indians under the Constitution. And Canada has now had to acknowledge this. And this is why they've come in trying to get us to sign on to a treaty. There is a land claim involved that, that the Northwest Land Claim had been filed back in 1994. That's up in the northwest corner of the province. But what the federal government has been attempting to do several times now is they want to use that land claim to create a modern treaty or a treaty-like document where they can do the land claim. They intend on, I think, as I've heard stated already, creating a land base up there. And what they would do is they would tie our Section 35 rights, that's another part of the Constitution, so our Section 35 rights into that modern treaty, which includes the Métis land title or the Métis claim to land. But what everyone needs to know, especially in Eastern Region 3, but all over this province, all the regions, because there are locations all over this province, because this is our homeland. And we have unextinguished land title here. We've never had a treaty like First Nations. There was never anything that settled it, so it still exists. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to wrap it all up and get it sort of negotiated away. They won't say extinguished anymore, but it's taking care of it. It's settling it. It's addressing it. It's clearing it out so that it's in Canada's hands if they put it all under the Northwest Land Claim. And what's not a good deal for you if you're not in the territory of the Northwest Land Claim, or that's not where your family's from, if they wanted to put their rights and title into that agreement and do a land claim that settles their rights and title, well, you won't hear from me anything about it. It's nothing to do with me, really. I would maybe warn them about a few things about what happened to the Inuit and the government of Nunavut when that was created, and some of the problems that came out of that and that they've still been dealing with in the last 25 years because of that. That might be a good case study for anyone who's in that Northwest Land Claim territory to look at and see what exactly some of the issues that came out of that and what promises were made that didn't get fulfilled. Because Canada doesn't have a very good track record of fulfilling treaty promises. Not a very good one at all. But, however, again, it's not my land claim, right? It's not my rights-bearing community up there. So what you need to consider is where your families, where pre-Canadian control. That's what Canada uses legally to look at where, these rights and these claims and land title would exist is where were our people pre-Canadian control? What were they doing there? You know, because it doesn't have to just be settlement. It doesn't have to be, oh, they lived there, but were they harvesting there? Were they hunting, fishing, trapping, berry picking? And if we're still there on that land and we're still doing these things, well, Canadian law has to acknowledge that, these are our existing rights, our existing inherent rights. And that includes our claim to land. And what we don't want to see is all these communities in the rest of the province suddenly losing their ability to have any negotiating power whatsoever, to have any ability to say, we want recognition of our rights and land title, because the Northwest Land Claim somehow swallows it all up and settles it all at once. And that's what the feds are hoping for. That's what I've seen them try to do twice now. And I can, if anyone wants to know more about this, just contact me and I'll provide you with this info. But they've tried this twice now and it hasn't happened yet, but they're not giving up. Okay. So when you saw the Our Moment Treaty, advertisements and marketing, and it was all over TV, it was everywhere. Billboards, that cost millions and millions of dollars. That was the feds that wanted to pay. What a terrible deal it must be for them if they're paying that much money to try and convince us to sign on the dotted line. But again, it's not. Whoever is in the Northwest and wants to do the Northwest land claim, more power to you to self-determine, and in your community, in your rights-bearing community, you decide. But if anyone tries to include the rest of the rights and title for the Métis within Saskatchewan, the colonial border territory, there's going to be a problem. We're going to have a problem, right? So I want people to be aware of this. The MNS also had done a very shady move and put a clause onto everybody's membership applications that when you were registering with the MNS, you were signing over your Section 35 rights to the MNS to be the official representative and be able to negotiate those rights on your behalf. I don't think that's even legal, what they did there. And I think it could easily be challenged in court, but they did do it. And I think people should know that, and it's not, people say, oh, well, you could always renounce, you could take your rights back. You shouldn't have to, give up your access to all the things that our community has negotiated thus far. And like the MNS is an institution that has taken on many different incarnations over the years for almost 90 years now. And, this is our communities and our people who built this and have gone on this journey and gotten us here. To tell people they have to renounce if they want to hold on to their rights, their collective community rights that the community themselves hold, no, that's ridiculous. That's not how it works. And, getting people they believe they're signing up to become a citizen or register as a member, however you see it, and throwing a fine print clause on there, saying that they're signing over rights. You can't enter a contract. That's not consent. You can't enter a contract that way. And they even put it on the renewal forms. Like if your photo ID expired and you just thought you were filling out a renewal for a new photo, it also said on there, you're agreeing to the same terms as a new registrant is. Because that never showed up on the membership cards till Richard Quintal came along, the CEO of the MNS for the last 8 years that came from Indigenous affairs. That was kind of forced on us, right? That's when that showed up. When I registered in 2013, that wasn't on there. So I don't think it's legal what they've done, but I think people should know that they did this because it's very deceptive. And my guess is that was advised probably to the people who decided to put it on there by the federal lawyer, Tom Isaac, who also came from INAC, from CIRNAC, as it's called now, from the federal government, and never disclosed. Just like Richard never disclosed to our people, he was from Indigenous affairs. Tom Isaac never disclosed. He was saying, I'm going to bat for you guys, against the government for trying to get us a treaty and all this. No, he is the government. He's been with them for over 35 years. He was known as the top Aboriginal law lawyer in Canada because of how many cases he won on behalf of the federal government and the resource sector against First Nations utilizing Aboriginal law, which is Canada's colonial law that deals with Aboriginal people. So, these guys have come in and they've really pulled a number on our people, I believe. They have not been honest. I know that. I've watched the deception and the manipulations play out for years now. And I've documented it all because there isn't always a lot that I could do as just a citizen as this was playing out, but I'm hoping that May 24th, the election, Eastern Region 3, if you'll put your faith in me, that I can hopefully, as a regional representative sitting at the council table, um, then, some of these things can really maybe be worked out and start to be solved and brought to light and discussed openly so all of our people know what's going on. And, I would just love to see our people get to have all the information and then make decisions based on free, prior, informed consent. And I really believe in our people. I believe in the style of governance and organizing that we have, which means that, we're all participating and we do a lot of voting, and that's good. And that's a lot of the ways decisions get made. And I trust our people to make those decisions, even if it takes a bit longer, even if it takes more effort to get things explained and get the information out there. That sounds a lot better to me than somebody from the federal government, from Gatineau, Quebec, or the lawyer from PEI, these guys who aren't even, you know, they're not part of our nation, and they're making a lot of decisions on our behalf as if we have these federal handlers. I don't think we need federal handlers. I know we don't need federal handlers. So, May 24th, I'm Valerie McLeod, running for Eastern Region 3 Regional Representative. I care about making sure that your families are able to maintain what this nation has fought for 200 years now, which is the rights and the land recognition and our recognition as a self-determining people. And all the communities and the rights-bearing communities have that self-determination and ability to make whatever deals they do or don't want to do. And if they want to do a land claim, that they can do a land claim, but that everybody has that same right and autonomy to their own futures and their own decision making. And it's a big deal. So I hope you'll pay attention and and if you have any more questions or anything about that, always feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss more. Take care.